Located close to the Fourth Fleet Anchorage, tiny Whanamua Island saw much of the destruction that took place those 2 days in February 1944. This beautiful little island is protected from rough seas by a ring of white coral. The shallow waters around it are a haven for small black-tip reef sharks. A pretty coral reef running off the island is a great snorkel. Blue Lagoon dive groups often stop here for lunch before the afternoon dive. The nearest wreck to the island is the Shotan Maru. A first-class dive by anyone's standards, the visibility is often better than on many of the other shipwrecks nearby. Resting at a maximum depth of 51 metres or 165 feet, both the Lindemann and Bailey books on Truk Lagoon noted the Shotan was one of the few ships that did not founder at anchor. Her proximity to the island suggests the crew were hoping to beach the ship in shallow water. She is certainly pointing directly at the island. But this view shows one of the ship's anchors is down, the other is still in the hawse-pipe. This object covered in algae is a truck. Apart from the axle and tyres, little remains. There were 3 stowed in this position initially. Over time, the second has fallen through into the hold below. A third truck appears to have floated off, landing on the sand on the port side. They are very narrow and match the models stowed in the aft deck of the Katsuragazan Maru. Lying with the remains of the vehicles and artillery shells are hundreds of sake bottles. Many of the wrecks in Truk carried provision cargo. With the loss of the majority of their ships and supplies, it's not difficult to understand that relations between the Japanese and the indigenous population became strained until the end of the war. A short swim between holds 1 and 2 brings into view 2 pieces of machinery. The first is a mobile compressor, the 4 steel-rimmed wheels clearly visible. Used for heavy construction, it sits close to the remains of a diesel engine. The island deckhouse is still in reasonable condition. The alleyways and handrails are covered in a dozen colours. Over 70 years have passed since passengers walked this deck. Classic ventilators, common to all the wrecks, would have allowed air into the deepest parts of the ship. The inner structure of the funnel of this coal-fired steamer is still in place, now a gathering place for schools of fish. Just aft of the engine room and partly hidden below the deck, a twin anti-aircraft gun points skyward. Entry into this doorway leads to the ship's steam engine. Shotan's engine room is open, intact, and easy to explore. Making our way towards the stern and into the depths of the No. 3 hold, we find hundreds of bags of cement. These small wheelbarrows were used extensively by the Japanese in their fortification of islands in the Pacific. The fatal hit from attacking aircraft occurred here, near the rear holds. Bomb damage is extensive in this area. A doorway below the aft deck leads to the ship's steering gear. Still in place on the poop deck is a single gun, common in most wartime merchant vessels. This footage clearly shows the weapon, but at times this wreck can be covered in a type of algae, which grows rampantly over everything, making it difficult to see. This seems to be a seasonal phenomenon. After the gun is the remains of a helm. Like all wrecks in Truk, the wooden spokes have rotted away, leaving just the outside rim. A great photographic subject, the stern of the Shotan Maru. The Fourth Fleet Anchorage is the resting place for some of Truk Lagoon's finest shipwrecks, notably the San Francisco, the Nippo and the Ikoku. The Shotan, although not that well known, is a hidden treasure lying close by.